White Rocket Entertainment, podcast number 961. Which is colder, where we live or the Auburn basketball three-point shooting? This and other critical topics of discussion coming up next, because the AU Wishbone is next. From still snow-covered and frozen southern Illinois. Oh, it's miserable. And I'm assuming it's pretty cold over in Eastern Virginia as well.
Frozen and snow-covered Virginia, man.
It's the AU Wishbone podcast coming up on our 15th Auburn football season this fall. 15 coming up. Can you believe it?
No.
I am your host, Van Allen Plexico, joined as always by my co-host.
I'm John Ringer.
John, happy Groundhog Day.
Feel like we just did this.
I know. We will hopefully not be reliving the last few Auburn football seasons over and over. I hope we're breaking out like Bill Murray. Spoiler, like Bill Murray at the end of Groundhog Day, we will be breaking out of our loop and doing something new, winning, doing really good. That's what we're hoping for. That's what we expect, I think.
Winning would be different, and I look forward to it.
It would be. Before we get going here, I want to point out I've got a new microphone. I got tired of the little broken mute button on my old one, and so I've switched over to a Sennheiser profile. It's pretty cool. It's just looks like the monolith from 2001 standing here. Boom, but hopefully it sounds pretty good. I'll let the audience, if you guys have heard our previous shows, let me know, because it's kind of hard for us to tell. Let me know if you think it sounds better, worse, the same, whatever. And I'm still adjusting to it and everything. I guess we're going to actually do basketball talk first, right? So while we have I just found our little, there it goes. Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second. But first we have a special appearance from because the Winter Olympics are coming up, John. This is not going anywhere.
Weeks away.
Huh?
Not far away.
Not far away, the Winter Olympics. And here in the palatial White Rocket Studios, there's people who have already gotten into the Olympic spirit.
Does Canes actually sponsor the U.S. bobsled team?
I don't know, but I hope they do.
I hope they do as well.
That would be
Nothing
so
says
awesome.
bobsledding like the Louisiana chicken fingers.
I mean, the two go hand in hand, right? But Boris has his new bobsled and his helmet, and he was very excited to show that off on the show. So there you go. You've all gotten to experience the wonder and the glory of Boris the bobsledder. All right, before we do anything else, as we always have to do, it's the Auburn Fun Meter, our weekly look at how much fun it is to be an Auburn fan right now. How are you feeling about it right now, John? Knowing that Tennessee and,
Tennessee, we won the Texas game, lost the Tennessee game. Transfer portals kind of died down. I'm going to say a 5.5.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I turned the gain down a little bit. So just tell me, if you will, if I sound bad or good, because this is the first time we've used this mic on the air. Can you tell I turned the gain down a little bit? Does that sound a little better or worse? It's good. All right, I'll leave it like that. All right. I think 5.5. That's about right. You always find the number that I'm comfortable with. That's good. Before anything else tonight, I want to, there's a couple of things to note, and I want to start out with the passing away of Philip Marshall, the great newspaper writer, later internet writer, for the Montgomery Advertiser and many other media venues that cover Auburn sports. I mean, but between David Housel and Philip Marshall, if there was any scrap of Auburn knowledge that those two didn't know, it wasn't known. It didn't exist. And now we've lost Philip. So, the one thing I can say about Philip Marshall, in total admiration, is that you and I have now done several Auburn sports books. And when I go and research, and when I go dig in the old newspapers, I go and do a lot of old newspaper research for our books. And there's no other person that I've quoted as much as Philip Marshall. I mean, he covered everything, and he had something interesting to say about everything.
He did. I mean, for people who aren't aware of his in the pre-internet era, he was a regular newspaper writer who covered Auburn football and basketball and wrote about them regularly. In the pre-AL.com era, he was a person you could read their thoughts about Auburn, and was constantly, meeting with coaches and asking good questions back in the Halcyon days, and has done it ever since. And I think, enjoyed his perspective on things once he moved over and began talking on podcasts and writing on the internet to be able to see his stuff more. I think he seemed like a good human being, supported others in their work, and but also like really loved his job and with entertaining with it. There were several times in history when Philip was in a place to ask a question or make a funny comment. In particular, I always think about our former defensive coordinator, Van Gorder.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and the meme, there's like Philip, he's saying something and Philip's behind him kind of with his mouth open. Like I always think about that image, just how funny that is. And, but also just like, somebody that clearly loved their job and loved covering Auburn and dedicated their life to it.
Yeah. In fact, I got this up too quick, but there we go. So, yeah. And I mean, and such a good writer. And I didn't realize until the articles about his death were coming out that his father was a very renowned, well-respected sports writer as well. And there was a cool picture of his dad with JFK in the White House, with several other people, including Bear Bryant in there to photo bomb. So that's pretty cool. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, somebody tweeted me and said Philip Marshall's dad was not only the best sports writer in Alabama history, he may have been the best writer in Alabama history, the state of any kind.
Yeah, so that's a tall one. But
it is. I don't know. I haven't read it, so I can't say. But anyway, so that's Philip. The other big and we hate it. The other big story that just hit today. Gus Malzahn has retired. Now, there's sort of two ways to approach this story. I may have to put the pop screen back on here. I thought I didn't need it. One is that, to say we express once again our great appreciation for all that Auburn accomplished between 2009, when he first joined the staff, and 2020, his last season at Auburn. That entire decade, with the exception of 2012, and if you're going to pick one year to miss and not be associated with, that was the Gus Malzahn era.
You were talking about the Groundhog Day thing. When Gus was here, no losing records.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the only losing record in that entire stretch was the one year he was gone. So there's that way to look at it, which is great. But there's also the way of looking at it, which is what happened. Like, was he gonna stay at Florida State and just decided he was done? Or was Florida State thinking of moving on, and he thought, well, I don't want to go look for another job again. I'm just going to wrap it up. I mean, because he's got enough money. He doesn't need to work anymore, but if you were Gus Malzahn and were in demand around the country as a football coach, just because you have money doesn't mean you don't want to do the thing you love, right? I mean, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't just sit in the house all day. I'd still want to go teach classes every now and then, or do our podcast or whatever, so or write books. So it may be that he just felt like there weren't any good opportunities right now, and he decided just to kind of take a year and enjoy life. I don't know.
I mean, I think he only went to Florida State to support his friend and the guy he had mentored, Norvell. So I think that's a part of it. He didn't I think Gus is a big football nerd who does love football and loves coaching football, right? You're right.
Exactly.
But I also think like his offense clearly isn't the hot thing for the moment anymore. His offense at Florida State this year was okay, but not great. They had that big win over Alabama at the beginning of the year, but the rest of the year was just kind of okay. And I think it was also like, he's about 5 years older than us, and has plenty of money. So I think he maybe wants to do other things.
I think he's 60. I think that's what Amy said. He's 60. And I just turned awfully close to that, John. Awfully close. So that's Gus, and we'll see. I mean, if he's back in a year, then we'll know, and if he's not, then we'll know.
I think he's retiring.
Yeah.
I mean, the way the announcement was, he's retiring, not he's leaving Florida State.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I just somebody could seek him out, though. Like finding the wizard in the cave and bringing him to slay the dragon or something.
I get that, but I mean, I think it's a moment to think about all the fun that Gus brought to us, especially on this podcast, and appreciate it. I enjoyed him as coach, and he did a lot of fun stuff. It brought joy into my life.
Well, I mean, like you said, no losing seasons, a national championship as offensive coordinator, one play away from a national championship as the head coach, just 3 years later. 100-yard rushers, at least one, if not two, every season that he was there between 2009 and 2017, which is the SEC record. And the 1 year he wasn't there, we also had 1,000 yards, so barely. And so that's the SEC record, and it's not close. And then the kick six, the prayer in Jordan Hare. So many great players. I mean, I think we look back at Gus's era and say, it's still recent enough to be controversial. There's people that wish we hadn't ever fired him to begin with. There's people wish we had never hired him to begin with. I mean, but overall, I mean, one of the better runs, one of the better decades in Auburn history for sure, all things considered.
I mean, okay, we're the authorities, or we're the historians, and I think a question for the offseason is rank Auburn head coaches.
Okay, I like it. Let's do that.
So we'll do this in a more authoritative way, where we pull the numbers together and the years and the wins and bowl games and titles and that kind of stuff, and then we'll put them all on a plate.
Yeah.
See what we think.
I like it. All right, let's get to the hoops talk. We had 2 games last week. We had 2 games they were very similar in a way. They both started out the same. They both started out with Auburn getting in a deep hole because the other team came out absolutely on fire shooting 3-pointers. The difference in the 2 games, I thought, was Tennessee played better defense and won the rebounding battle. When you look at the statistics from the Auburn-Tennessee game, it's a miracle Auburn was we were within 3 points. We even tied the game late. The game with Tennessee was tied with just a couple of minutes to go in the game.
Yes.
And considering that they completely out-rebounded us, they were blowing us away from three-pointers for a while. I mean, there was hardly a statistic, maybe turnovers that was in our favor. I don't know. That was close. There was hardly a statistic that Tennessee was losing in, that what they weren't winning in, and yet we were right there with them just because this team can play such scrappy defense and can go inside and find – and they can generate offense when they absolutely have to. That previous, arguably better Auburn teams in the past have had a much harder time generating offense when they needed it than this one. This one can find a way.
Advanced stat-wise, it's the top 10 offense in the country.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they're able to do it. I mean, and it's not just all Keyshawn Hall either.
No.
That he helps, but it's all around. Yeah, so – and it's a team that's, like we've said, it's going to just keep getting better. If they get out of their 3-point slump, they'd be incredible. If as the players that haven't played as much start to get more experience, like Elijah Freeman, we've been seeing Sway get more and more experience and be more effective. I think we've seen Murph play better since he's kind of gotten past his injury. So, and I think Overton has been good all season.
Yep.
And if Tahad could just a little get out of his head, and I don't know, but I mean, it's a solid team. It still feels like, I'll put it this way: this team to me, it still doesn't feel like the sum is greater than the parts. It still feels like a team of parts. But the 2019 team felt that way until the SEC tournament.
It did.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden they came together like glue. So there's plenty of time left for them to take it up another notch or two.
Oh yeah. Early February. Long way to go.
So what about the Texas game? We won it, but, man, it didn't look good for a while.
No, as you said, they started out very hot, made everything in the first few minutes. The other big difference between Tennessee and Texas is Texas cannot defend without fouling. And as the game went along, they fouled and fouled and fouled. But the other part of that is Auburn made them commit fouls because we went to the basket. We got the ball inside, and we kept going to the basket, to the basket, to the basket. The other big difference is that, I mean, some of this is because Texas defense is not as good, but Auburn literally played the best offensive half of basketball that the school's probably ever played in the second half against Texas. So that was a better second half than last year's team or the 2019 ever had. The Auburn scored on 24 of 28 possessions and had one turnover.
That is insane. So how many points did they have in the second half? I mean, it had to have been at least 48, you'd think. I guess there were some individual free throws in there, but I'm going to guess close to 45 to 50 points, right?
Pulling up the box score now.
Doesn't seem like it would be the biggest in terms of points, but like you said, in terms of their possessions ratio of scoring to turnovers, yeah. Absolutely. All right, well, while John is searching for that answer, you noted the officiating was terrible in the Texas game, and I'm thinking, well, that just means it was an SEC basketball game, right? I don't know what's
54 points in the second half.
54 points in the second half. Good Lord, Texas. And won by 6.
Yeah. No, the officiating was terrible. If you remember the Texas game, they had that big dumb guy inside, and our guys kept getting tangled up with him, and they called a foul on Tahad when he got elbowed in the face and that kind of thing. So,
oh my gosh, yes, that was ridiculous. I was furious. Dude could have broken his nose, his cheekbone, and they call it on Tahad for fouling his elbow with Todd's face.
There was some terrible officiating in that game. Those guys were clowns. You know, Texas has some good players. That guy Swain is really good. He can make a lot of shots. That guy in the middle was a jerk. I'd just as soon not see him again. And then the other reason that Auburn got really hot in the second half is Keyshawn Hall got hot. He had a slow first half. He was coming off that great Florida game, but he had 31 points in the game and 25 in the second half.
It seems like with Keyshawn, either he's on or he's not, and it can be game to game. It can be half to half. When he is on, man, nobody can stop him.
Yes.
But when he's off, you'll look at his entire stat line for a half will be 1 of 7 for 2 points.
Yes.
And you're like, what happened? And so, I mean, if it's like either they know how to stop him and they do, or they don't know how to stop him and they can't, right? It's one of those two things, and it's never anything in between, right? He's either going to get 30 or he's going to get like 2. It's crazy.
I was going to ask you, like, he's not the single best shooter that Auburn's ever had. And he's, that we've had better inside players, right? The more post game and more around the rim players. But in terms of like a guy facing the basket about 10 or 15 feet away with the ball in his hands, he might be the single best player that we've ever had at scoring. Like, he can get a basket anytime he wants, regardless of what the defense is doing. He can drive. He can, he could step back and jump shoot. He can shift around him and get under the basket and get a shot. So, I mean, the only guy, so who's in the discussion, right, with that kind of, I mean, Barkley and Chuma, but I was going to say Chris Morris.
Chris Morris, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's not a ton of them. I mean, we've had a lot of outside shooting guys like Bryce Brown and Jared and all. I mean, McCormick was kind of okay at that, but nowhere Javon McCormick, but not near to the level of this.
No, he didn't have the size. I mean, Hall can do it on anybody. There's no defender that he looks at and goes, "Oh, I'm worried about that guy."
Well, did you hear his quote about that? He said that when he says, "When I have the ball, I'm not worried about the first guy. I know I can beat him. I'm worried. I'm looking at who's going to come over and double me or whatever." And that's who he's planning. That's how he plans it. And like, that's like a Formula One driver that says they don't look at what's in front of them. They're always looking like a mile down the track, and looking, making their decisions about what's way off in the distance, while the reflexes kind of handle the immediate. And that's kind of what he does. He's looking to the end of the play and assuming his body will take care of the immediate play. And that's not everybody can do that.
No.
So that's pretty good. Yeah. So 24, 28 possessions, 1 turnover is crazy. 13 of 19 from the field, 6 of 9 from 3-pointer in the second half, 22 of 28 free throw line is not bad. That's what you have to do.
That's right.
Especially when you start out as bad off as we did at the beginning of that game at Texas. Now, Tennessee, similar beginning, but we just couldn't claw our way back. And we did miss some more free throws. We still did okay, but we were 7 for 31. So we missed 24 3-pointers. You just make 2 or 3 more of those and the game's tied.
Well, how about we just take 5 or 8 less and go to the basket those times?
Yeah, so many empty possessions. That was what was driving me crazy. We'd have this great defensive stand, work our tails off, get the ball away from Tennessee, get the rebound, go down, and then Tahad shoots an air ball. And I'm just like, come on. And it wasn't just him, but he's kind of become the poster boy for it, unfortunately. But a bunch of them were doing that. So,
no, we shot 31 threes. We should only shoot about 20. Okay. So there was a whole bunch of possessions when we should have gone to the basket. Yeah. And, he had a bad day, but Overton was 1 for 7, right? Freeman was 1 for 4. Hall was 3 for 9. So everybody was cold.
Yeah. When 3 for 9 is by far your best, that's terrible.
It is terrible.
Yeah.
And we missed 6 free throws, right? Yep. And we had the other thing is you really got a sense in that Tennessee game that we had a chance in the second half, right? As you said, we closed up, but there were multiple times when we forced a turnover and got a fast break and got nothing. Exactly. There are multiple times in the second half we have an advantage on a possession and we're pushing down the court and we didn't convert. We didn't turn it into points. And those are more than the 3-pointers. Those are the ones that kill me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. The empty possessions, man, I was pulling my hair out. Absolutely. And they were all doing it. And I mean, it seemed like Tennessee was in control of the game the entire game, and yet we kept pulling close. I still can't get over the fact we tied the game with like a couple of minutes to go in the game. We were tied. And then it slipped away again. And I mean, I don't know. It was just a very frustrating game because Stephen Pearl said afterward that he said this is one that we let get away that was doable.
Mm-hmm. No, it was a winnable game. We had a shot.
Yeah.
So. That's frustrating.
Out rebounded us by 11 in the first half. And like I said, the second half was fairly even. I mean, I don't remember what the halftime score was, but we lost by 8. And I don't
we were down 10 at halftime, 41-31.
So we actually outscored them in the second half. Yeah.
The second half was 38-36 Auburn.
Yeah. So
we just dug too deep a hole.
And then and the free throw thing, Jovic is driving me crazy because he'll get fouled and he'll get to the free throw line. Not as often as Keyshawn Hall, but he can do it. But he's gotten to where he misses his first one. And that's bad enough when he's shooting 2. But when it's the front end of a 1-and-1 and he misses it, that's really bad, So some of them are very reliable at free throws and some of them are not. And so sometimes we're able to kind of make sure the right one gets fouled at the end and sometimes we're not. So all right. Yeah, that one was gettable. Jovic did have a good game though. He's been playing really well lately.
He's got some tough rebounds, played some good interior defense against their big guys. He makes a difference when he's on the floor, I think. Yeah,
I've said before, he kind of plays the Dennis Rodman role of just getting in there and fighting around. Did you see was it at one point was it the Texas guy or the Tennessee guy grabbed him by his shorts and flipped him over backwards and they didn't call anything on that? I'm like, my God.
That was the Texas guy, I think. That was
a Texas guy, yeah. Well, he was from over there. He was from Croatia or somewhere.
Greece or something, I think.
Something. So, yeah, they probably had some ancient rivalry going. All right. And then Overton got hurt. That looked it was one of those things that when you first see it, you're like, oh, that didn't look that bad. And then you think about what it would feel like if it happened to you. It would not feel good to go flopping back and have somebody's knee right in the back of the head. It'd probably knock me out. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that was not good.
Yeah. And he did come back in though. I was afraid he was going to be on like concussion protocol or something and not come back in.
I was too.
He did play some more, which we needed him. So, right now we got 7 or 8 players that are doing most of the heavy lifting.
We're only playing 7 guys, yeah.
Eventually they bring Mushalek or whatever in to play point guard, but yeah, we really are struggling on depth. Speaking of Auburn players in depth, did I hear that Dylan Cardwell got a full-time big deal contract, NBA?
He did. The Kings made a trade, and part of that was to guarantee him some playing time, so they signed him to a real contract.
Awesome. I don't know what he was doing up until then. A make-believe. It was like on Play-Doh or something, or
it was what they call a two-way contract, which means they still had options to send him down, kind of.
Oh, okay. So now he's like an actual full-on NBA player, no fooling.
Yeah.
I like it. You can tell that he's taking it seriously because he is in great shape. I've said it before. Right. I'm not big on admiring men's physiques, John. It's not one of my favorite things to do. But when it comes to Dylan, I'll do it. He was chiseled the last couple of times I've seen him, and he didn't look like that at Auburn. At Auburn, he was just big, still had some baby fat kind of, but he was just big. He looks like he could go run a marathon or something now. It's remarkable. I wonder what diet or regimen they've had him on to get him like just ripped, but he looks like he's been eating those raw eggs and steak, raw steak and pulling the sled, everything out there. That's what he looks like. So good for him. I'm really happy for him. So we don't have a basketball game midweek this week.
It's good. I think we all need a break.
Speak for yourself. I need a basketball game. I'm disappointed, but on the other hand, if you're going to have a break,
he needs a rest after that.
If you're going to have a break and get some rest before a game, I think this would be the one.
Yes.
Because I don't know if you all realize, but coming up on Saturday, we are playing.
You're an idiot, and there's probably something wrong with your character as well. You're not just misguided, but you're probably sort of evil. Or at least so ignorant that you are effectively evil.
That's the best description of Alabama in general. I'm not going to say Alabama fans because I'm going to apply it to the entire university. Their fans, their players, their administration,
Certainly their basketball program.
There's no sort of evil to it. Their basketball program is just rotten to the core. So we've got Alabama on Saturday, February 7th. You have 4:00 here. I'm going to assume that's weird communist time, and it's actually 3:00 for us normal people.
It's either 3 or 3:30 on ESPN2, the Central Time. They're still working, finalizing that part.
All right. So tell us a little bit about this game.
So, this newsflash, this is the same kind of Alabama team they've been the last 5 years. They're really good on offense and pretty blonde defense. They're the third best offensive team in the country on Ken Palm and the 64th best defensive team. They brought in this professional player, Charles Beniaco, who's been a professional player for 3 years. They got a hometown Alabama judge to rule he was eligible, and I'm making the finger quotes there. You can see those on the audio podcast. And there's a hearing that's that was rescheduled because of the snowstorm. I think it's the Thursday or Friday before the Auburn game to rule on his eligibility. And the judge has now recused himself since he might have a conflict of interest.
Might. Yeah, no kidding. You think a little bit. So, yeah, and I saw a great tweet today where somebody said, breaking news, Charles Bediaco has just, after going 1-2 in his Alabama games, is now announcing he's going back to high school. He is applied to IMG Academy.
The other part is Alabama was a bad defensive team without him, and they're a little better with him, but he's not,
not the cure-all.
No, he's not the top 5 player or anything in the country, and he's not going to make the difference between them going to the Final Four or not, which some people thought. So,
well, if he's not helping the college team, you can see where he wasn't making it in the NBA because
ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, if you can't make Alabama better, you sure probably can't make the Bulls better or something or whoever.
And again, we've joked about this last week, but I just want to be clear about this. Yes, college players are receiving money, okay? But when you leave college and go to be a professional, you forfeit your eligibility to become a professional in that sport. And Bediaco did that 3 years ago. This isn't about him having eligibility like Diego Pavia or someone trying to sue to get an extra year to play college football. He left college athletics behind, gave up his eligibility, and became a professional in that thing. And now he's trying to come back and because he's not good enough as a pro, and Alabama's desperate to try to win. And so they're taking this approach, which honestly, like the NCAA should just rule these games as Alabama's to forfeit all of them. That's what I think of it.
That would be great. Absolutely. Yeah. It's just so bizarre. I mean, his lawyer was defending him on the grounds of this young man just wants to go back to college and get his education. What's wrong with that? Who's against education here? And people are like, it's not the education that's the problem. People are pointing out, Cam Newton and Cadillac came back and went to school fine. They didn't play on the field while they were doing it. They didn't suit up
anywhere he wants to.
Yeah. But he didn't suit up.
He wants to go back to college. He can take one of your classes.
Hey, come on, Charles. I'll teach you all about U.S. history and government and everything. Religion. That's what I do. So there's going to be a hearing.
Yes. And
so what is that?
I mean, just the NCAA's appealed this, and another judge is going to step in because the judge who made the initial ruling was obviously incredibly biased. He's a Alabama season ticket holder and stuff. And
booster, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
A booster, correct. So somebody else is going to make a ruling, and we'll see what they say.
I wanted to mention also, while we're talking about Alabama and oats and everything, that I have John Feinstein's book. I really loved A Season on the Brink, the Bobby Knight book. That was excellent. I'd always heard it was like the best sports book ever. And I thought, well, how could a book about an Indiana basketball team be that great? So I bought it just to find out, and it was great. It's really good. And so I have The Back Roads to March. He did several more basketball books after that one, including A Season Inside, which I don't have. But The Back Roads to March is where he follows this. I think it's around 2019, somewhere in there. He follows several smaller schools. I wish one of them was Auburn. That would have been a great story if he'd followed, but we did that, so you didn't need that book. But he followed several like mid-major type teams on their way through the season, and it's a really interesting book. If you're not like looking for specific teams, if you just want to hear the story of the, these like Buffalo and whoever. But one of them that was interesting was it talks about how Oates was a high school coach teaching math, and got hired by Bobby Hurley at Buffalo to be an assistant. And when Hurley went on to his next job, wherever it was, I don't know where he went. I know his brother went to UConn, but I don't remember where Bobby went. Is it Arizona State or something? Anyway, he recommended to Buffalo that they retain Oates as their head coach. And that's how Oates got his job, was Bobby Hurley. And then he did a good enough job. But at Buffalo, he did that was when he started his whole blue collar, hard hat, thing that he does, And I could see that in Buffalo, right? You're in upstate New York, hard scrabble, cold, tough working class, kind of like parts of Chicago, the Bears fans, kind of, these guys that live in the snow, work hard in the factory. That's what he's appealing to, saying we're going to emulate their hard work ethic. I get that. Bringing that to Alabama just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I just never understood. Is there any player on the Alabama basketball team the last couple of years that has any idea what he's talking about when he says blue collar mentality?
No.
They even know what that means. My students wouldn't know what that means until I explain it to them. So, anyway, the other thing that's funny in that Feinstein talks about, see if this sounds familiar, John, is that at Buffalo, Oates started talking about the coaches and the players of the teams they were getting ready to play to the press. Does that ring a bell?
Mm-hmm.
Jack Nicholson grin. So he's not new to that. He's been doing that a long time, apparently. And he was saying it got him in trouble too. So, and he had to go, they said Feinstein is like, Oates at his next press conference had to backtrack a bunch after the things he'd said in the previous one. I'm like, man, this just sounds like it was recorded yesterday. It's
He
incredible.
clearly hasn't learned anything since then.
No, not a thing. So anyway, I have one other thing I'm going to throw in there before we switch over to football, and that is ESPN. There was a tweet that went out with like a ranking of live mascots. So we don't mean like Aubie and the guy dressed like a horse at Oklahoma and the guy in the dog suit in Georgia and all that. Don't mean those. We mean like the animals, like the eagle that flies around our stadium, or the little white dog that sits on an ice pack in Sanford Stadium,
or the chicken,
the chicken, Sir Big Spur, the collie at A&M, those kind of live mascots. And several schools don't have one. Vanderbilt doesn't have one. I don't think Ole Miss has one. There were a couple I was surprised. But anyway, I don't think Missouri has one. Arkansas does have a giant pig. You know how I know Arkansas has a giant pig? You saw it, right? That big black Razorback. Do you remember what it did? Was that where you were with us on? Yeah, we were on that trip. Remember when my wife went to pet it? It sneezed all over her hand, a gigantic.
I'd forgotten that. That's great.
She was like, ah!
Hog snot.
Oh, it was awful. Yeah, hog snot. That sounds like a town in Arkansas. It sounds like you and I are driving to the game, and we're like, John, where are we now? And you're like, we're coming up on Hog Snot. We're 2 miles outside of Hog Snot. We're almost there. But anyway, my take on their ranking, and by the way, they had a dog. You know, every one of these rankings that's ever been done for the last 40 years, what animal is always number one before now?
Dog?
Ugga. Right? There's that whole long thing there while everybody's like, Ugga's the greatest mascot in the world. And I never got it. I was always like, he's a blob, and he sits there. They drag him on his stomach with his legs sticking out to the side as he bounces along on his stomach because he can't run fast enough. And then they set him on ice, I guess because all the friction burns his stomach. So they set him on a big bag of ice outside his house. I never understood what made Ugga such a great mascot. He just, I mean, honestly, you could weekend at Bernie's him. If he had passed away, you could put some strings on him and just run him like a marionette, and he wouldn't know any difference.
I think it all goes back to that Robert Baker video.
Yeah, and then he was in that movie, Midnight Garden of Good and Evil or whatever. He was in that. But anyway, there was a dog that was number one on this rankings that came out last week, but it wasn't Ugga. Hallelujah! It was it the? I want to say it was the Texas A&M Collie. I don't know. Anyway, my take is if your live mascot is a dog on a leash being pulled around the stadium, you do not have a top mascot. You have a pet. A live mascot should be in a cage or should be flying around or should be doing something cock-a-doodle doing. It should be doing something other than sitting there panting and wanting a dog treat.
You should be worried that mascot's going to break loose and take off. Like the Buffalo, I think is a good one.
Bevo at Texas.
Mm-hmm. Ralphie.
Yeah. You should be people in the crowd should be in danger if your mascot gets loose or behaves erratically. Now, the War Eagle could do some serious damage if he or she wanted to, but they don't. They are very well trained and they know to go attack their little fake rat on the 50-yard line, like a good War Eagle. But though that eagle could do some damage.
Mm-hmm. The eagle could fly away.
It could. If the damage your mascot does is it like drools on you when you pet it, that is not a top mascot. It is a pet. That is my blazing hot take of the week. I need a sound clip for Van's blazing hot take of the week. Take of the week.
All right, on to football. Now that we're past the hot take section. So
we are. Let's get to the football talk.
Unfortunately, not a lot of football talk to talk. We're entering the long, dark tea time of the off season. No transfer portal signings since last week's show.
Wow, that's the first week in a long time that we haven't had any.
And we no news of other Auburn players, so it's been in December, we were hearing that this guy's leaving, that guy's leaving. And then January, it was this guy's coming, that guy's coming. And now we're in February and it's like, it's over. So
I do want to point one thing out, though. You and I said repeatedly that when we were in that first phase, when people were leaving or announcing their intentions to leave, at least, it felt bad. And we kept reminding the audience, this is they're getting ready to leave part, but the other part of that is the people coming in part. And I mean, there's maybe 3 or 4 players I hate losing. I really hate losing, but I really like the players we've got coming in. I'm very pleased.
Very happy.
Yeah. And I mean, somebody, I've heard several commentators say that every time you see our coach lately, he looks more tired, but they said nobody's going to outwork him. Said he will outwork any coach in the country, which as long as he doesn't kill himself doing it is fine. But they asked him, how much difference will it make for you that basically your entire offense already knows how to run the offense, and the install will take 5 minutes? And he said, it's huge. He said, that'll be huge. Absolutely.
That's a big difference.
It is. I mean, just imagine when we brought in Gus the first time in 2009, if everybody on that field on offense pretty much knew how to run his offense, that 2009 team probably would have gone won double digits.
Mm-hmm.
They still won 8 or 9, but they could have, so there's not going to be the 3 or 4 games of figuring out what they're doing. I mean, maybe a player here, a player there, maybe a couple of offensive linemen or something, but when Byron Brown takes the snap and drops back, he's going to be looking at receivers that he knows where they're going to be and they know where to go.
Yes.
And it's been, let's be honest, we've had some receivers the last few years that have been very talented, hadn't always known where to go and hadn't always gotten there when they needed to, or held on to it when they got it.
Truth. So the other big news is Golish and his staff visited a lot of high schools over the last week and went to the Alabama High School Association, Coaches Association meeting.
An event that was barely not even attended by
potatoes.
And I guess Freeze probably went, but schmoozed a little bit. Golesh took the entire coaching staff to it. And the word I've been hearing back is very impressive, that he's impressing coaches all over the state.
It's big.
That's what we need. That's what we need. And I mean, I'll give Hugh Freeze a little bit of credit that I think after the potato famine, Freeze at least kind of put us back on the map with Alabama recruiting there for a while. Got the doors open. He was good at that. He was good at some things. Come on. And now I think Golesh is just going to walk right through the door and start closing big deals, I feel like, over the next couple of years. And that would be – and I mean, what's the one thing that would make Auburn's coach being really good at going in and recruiting the state of Alabama, what's the one thing that would make that even better?
What, being good?
Alabama's coach being in a bad place, being on the hot seat a little bit. That makes it better because you've got players that are looking at Alabama and going, I don't know. And then Golesh over here and like, So, rather than competing rather than bringing out our big gun and competing with Alabama's big gun, I feel like we're bringing out a big gun, and Alabama's kind of down to a pop gun right now a little bit. Now, they're still Alabama. They're still going to find ways to get good players. They always do. But I like the situation as it is right now. That's all I'm saying.
The dynamic.
I like the dynamic. There you go. I like the dynamic. We'll see. Speaking of Alabama and the coaching staff and dynamic, I saw a bit of an interview that Nick Saban did on a podcast on YouTube the other day. Some of you may have seen this, where they asked him, what was something you did in your career that you regretted? And this was so good. There were several players that were like running this podcast that had him on, former players of different schools. And there was an Alabama guy there apparently, because Saban looked at that guy and said, "You're not going to like this." And immediately I was like, my ears go up, right? He's going to say something that the Alabama guy is not going to like. Tell me more. Tell me more. And Saban said he shouldn't have left LSU the first time. I'm like, ooh, that's something Alabama fans don't want to hear at all. He said he wanted to find out more about himself, see if he was good at the pro game. And he said that when he went to the Dolphins, he said there's things about being an NFL head coach that he enjoyed. You know, he said you get a lot of attention and you know, you have a lot of power and everything. And he appreciated that. But he said ultimately, you know, he realized he was more of a college coach and it worked out. But this is what was good. He said when he was trying to get the Dolphins job and leave LSU, Jimmy Sexton, the super agent that represented him, Sexton said to Saban, "Coach, do you want to be remembered as Vince Lombardi or Bear Bryant? Like NFL or college great?" And Saban said, without hesitation, I said Bear Bryant. And Sexton said, then why do you want to go to the NFL? Which is a fair, a just question, my liege, to quote Lord of the Rings. And so he says, fortunately, he says, you know, again, he did okay and whatever, but he says, fortunately, Alabama came along and gave him kind of a lifeline. But he said it would have been better if I just never left LSU to start with. And I'm just like, oh, if only. Because, you know, the thing of it was, he was really good at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
And he won them a national championship.
And he put them on the track to more success. All these national titles since then are because of him.
Go back to him. But he was not like running undefeated season after undefeated season at LSU. He wasn't having like 2009, 2011, 2012, you know, whatever. He wasn't doing that at LSU. They, you know, the year he left LSU, 2004, I believe, after 2004, they were like 9-4. So I would have loved him to be at LSU because they'd have been about as successful as they've been since he left without him, you know, with him. And that would have kept him away from Alabama. So it would have been a win-win.
The other person in the scenario I always blame is the Dolphins team doctor. They tried to trade for Drew Brees, and the team doctor failed him, and Drew Brees, and then the Saints traded for Drew Brees, and he played there for 15 years after that. And if the Dolphins had gotten Drew Brees, if the doctor had cleared him, Saban would never have left.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, man. That's incredible. Yep. Was Saban the coach at Miami when Ronnie Brown was there? He must have been at least a year, because Ronnie graduated after 2004, and Saban left LSU, I think, after 2004, because 2005 was the first Les Miles year at LSU. So I think they were together in 2005.
You're probably right.
They're on the same team in 2005 at least, and I don't remember how long Saban was at LSU. 2005 and 2006 maybe. Because he came to Alabama in 2007. So, yeah, 2005 and 2006. He was there 2 years. So,
yeah, that's right.
I guess he coached Ronnie for 2 years. That's crazy. All right. I have one other thing, John, if you will indulge me for another minute. So, I had some students today that we're talking about football seasons coming up, and anyway, in between classes, it kind of evolved into me digging up the football season for the future. And I had forgotten or hadn't really looked at the 2027 schedule. We've been looking at 2026 and everything, and that's great. 2026 is going to be a heck of a schedule. We talk about it being a throwback, an old school Auburn schedule. It's going to be a lot of fun. 2027, though, get this. We have, I'm not even going to mention all of them, but just I'm going to mention 8 games, okay? We've got home games, Texas A&M, okay, Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama. Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama, all at home. And then on the road, well, Missouri, which is 2 hours away from me. I'm excited about that. Vanderbilt, 4 hours away from me. And then Texas in Austin, which I've been excited about for years. Got a whole lot of activities I want to run around and do when I'm over there. And then the pièce de résistance. When going to Texas is not the biggest road game of the year, you know there's something big coming up. Notre Dame, at Notre Dame. So I got to thinking about it. I really want to go to the Texas game, and I really want to go to the Notre Dame game. And it'd be weird to go to those 2 big games and not go to Missouri and Vanderbilt since they're so close to me. Well, now I'm going to 4 games. My gosh. And neither one of them is Georgia or Alabama in Auburn. Holy cow, I need to go to those. And I just kept thinking there's like at least 8 games I want to attend in the 2027 schedule when usually I go to maybe 1, 2 at the most. Okay. So I started thinking, how would it be possible to go to like 8 games in 2027? And you know what I thought of is we need to make a book out of it. That's always my answer, and it's usually the right answer. So here's what I'm thinking about doing. And if our listeners and the patrons have suggestions of how to modify this or perk it up or do something with it, by all means, let's hear about it. But here is my baseline idea. We're going to do this is what I'm proposing. It's not done deal, but this is my initial proposal. I want to do a Kickstarter in the summer, like June of 2027. And whatever we raise on the Kickstarter will go toward getting us to those games so that we can take notes, absorb everything, take photographs, interview people, eat at various places and report on that, right? Do like a comprehensive chapter on each game. And then when the season is over, we sit down, we knock out a thorough, attractive, fun book, 1 year of Auburn football that includes the first time we ever play Notre Dame, the first time we ever go to Texas as an SEC, when they're an SEC team, Georgia and Alabama at home. You'll have Golesh in his 2nd year, got his feet under him, got some confidence, right? We're rolling. It just seems like all the stars are aligning on that. What are your initial reaction thoughts to that?
It is a fun schedule. I mean, we've talked about going to Texas for a long time, and we're 100%. That's going to be a great trip. And Auburn's only playing Notre Dame once, so we got to take advantage of it while we can.
Exactly. I figure you and I go to whatever games we're both able to get away or whatever, and then you might end up going to something I don't. I might end up going to something you don't. But between the 2 of us, we can cover the whole season pretty much. At least, Austin P, we might watch that one on TV. But I think we can cover all the big games either together or individually. Don't you think?
I do.
All right.
You left out. Okay, I remember you left out 2 games. Oh, South Carolina at home and at Kentucky.
Okay. All right. Kentucky's pretty close to me too.
That's another place that's not that far away from you.
Yeah, we went to the 2010, the Cam game there. I feel like I went to another one there, but I can't remember now. That was a very memorable trip, though. That was the first time I ever had Raising Cane's, was on that 2010 Kentucky trip. There was a Raising Cane's right next to Kentucky campus. And when we left it was either on the way to the stadium or right after the game. Must have been on the way because it was during the day. And I was like, oh, a chicken finger place, Raising Cane's. What a weird name. And we were in there and I was like, oh, this is almost as good as Guthrie's, man. So, St. Louis is getting 7 Zaxby's in the coming year. And I'm like, all my students and all that know me from the past years were messaging me like, hey, we're getting Zaxby's. And I'm like, I said, I hate to tell you.
No.
Temperature, nah, it's gone to crap. It's gone
There's
down.
some Zaxby's around here, Virginia. They're terrible.
They're terrible. I'm like, we are blessed with Raising Cane's in this area. Just continue to enjoy it for as long as it lasts. And again, Raising Cane's is a total ripoff. They're shameless Guthrie's copiers. At least Zaxby's, I'll put it this way. Zaxby's ruined their food by expanding their menu, but at least they do things differently than Guthrie's now. Raising Cane's still just is Guthrie's. And I mean, it works. I'm glad because it means it's good. They're not scattering themselves too wide like Zaxby's. But, you know, it's shameless. They're just absolutely a carbon copy. And it wouldn't bother me so much, except they always run these videos of like their founder, like, when I came up with this idea, you know, and I'm like, by going to Guthrie's? When I went to an Auburn football game and I ran into Guthrie's, I was like, I could steal this. So, but anyway, all right. So, I also had a note in 2028, our road schedule, get this, in 2028, our road SEC schedule at Arkansas, okay, at Florida, at LSU, at Georgia, at Alabama.
That's going to be a problem.
That is a problem. So I think it's good that we concentrate on 2027. We just build our whole thing around 2027 starting now. I'm already putting money aside, and we'll run a Kickstarter with the understanding that the book will be 9 months later because we have to write it first, and then we'll go from there. So I'm excited. All right. I got to thank the patrons while I still have a voice left. I just had a lot to talk about tonight. I'm sorry, but that was that. I don't have it open. So let me, do we have a guess the game this week or no?
I don't know.
I don't think we do. So
if you have while Van is pulling up the patron list, if you have ideas for Guess the Game, we need some more entries. Please email our colleague, Jared. You can reach him at Yard Sale Artist on most social media and send a game to him, include the audio clip or the YouTube clip of the game and go to the, point out the moment when you want to use. We need some more entries, so please take a moment and do that over the next few weeks.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, and Jared really does appreciate it when people find good ones because we've done a lot. I mean, aren't we closing in on like 200 of them or something?
It's insane.
He's done a lot, and we really appreciate it. It's great content that he does for us. He's awesome. All right, I got it. So here we go. We always like to thank the fine folks that keep the program going. And I closed out the wrong window. So I'm desperately trying to, there it is. Yeah. The first person we always thank, the AU Wishbone is presented to you ad-free. It's presented to you ad-free thanks to all our great patrons via patreon.com. This is one of the few podcasts or YouTube video shows you're going to find no ads. None. I mean, if at some point YouTube starts sticking ads on here, that's between you and YouTube. That's because you don't have the right kind of subscription. I actually subscribe to YouTube because I watch it so much now that I don't want ads. But our show doesn't have ads regardless. We don't put any ads in there. We don't make any money off of any ads on this show. I'll tell you that much. And we certainly don't on the podcast. I turn them down all the time because we don't want ads. Instead, we have the great, great, great AU Wishbone Auburn family, beginning with our title sponsor for Worst Coach of the World coming up in just a minute, the great Samuel Salvatore. And we'll get more of him in just a minute. We also have to thank Logan Chilton, who always reminds us what we sacrifice to be an Auburn fan.
So what do I sacrifice? everything.
It's a long pause there. He always gets me with that long pause, Luthen there. Ben Spooner, man, if we ever had ads, it would just be
Blasphemy.
Carl Von Drunker, Chris and Clinton Stewart. My Auburn football hope meter is going up again. I hope so. Me too. Earl Ricks, Phil Amthor, now giving Van and John a break from since the dismal years are over now, I hope. Richard Stevens, Steve Trawick, Ann Pridgeon, Shane Bailey, Susan Trawick, Willie Carden, Matt Flowers, win from Norman, Oklahoma, which is what we should have gotten a couple of months ago. Gary Grant, a.k.a. AU fan at KSC, William Morgan, Bradley Blackman, Eric Morgan, Michael Kirshner. If Carroll Shelby could see Alabama fans, he'd say,
I don't speak Italian, but he ain't happy.
I know that's right. And I always like it when that's the case. David WD Salmons Esquire, Harry Zager, G Money. Those folks I have just mentioned are just go above and beyond the call, and we really appreciate all of you. There's also there is Rich Reimer, Steve Harlan, Wes Atkinson, Dan Thompson, a few more patrons, then back to the authorities. Catherine England, no one fights like Gaston. Every time I get in an argument on social media about Auburn sports, I'm always tempted to play the authorities card. I don't. I'm not an idiot, but I'm always tempted to, you know. I want to be like, I'm an authority, blanker, blanker. But that would be stupid. Catherine England, no one fights like Gaston. War Eagle always. Jacob and Robin Fleming. Mickey B. Winston Body, washed up fantasy F1 team principal. That sounds like the German guy that is like the blanking and the blanket, blah. Brandon Smith, Daniel Odom. By the way, they just wrapped up Barcelona testing. We're getting closer and closer to the new Formula One season. I can't wait. Brand new cars. Very exciting. Can't wait. 2008, 2009 Taliban Wrangler World Champion. That sounds like a new car. Speaking of cars, have you test driven the new 2009 Taliban Wrangler?
No, I have not.
The Taliban Wrangler, man. It's a great car. It's got a machine gun mounted to the back, I hear. H-Town. Cracking myself up with that. H-Town Danny, WDE Richie, Chris Hilton. That's like the time you got tickled with one. It's happened to you too. Don't make fun.
I know. It's buried me before.
Oh, so good. Bob WD Salmons, Auburn University debate team 74-75, and current sleazy shyster. Algo Rhythm and Blues, Rusty Owens, goodbye you. Hello, happiness. Luther and Kelly Ottaway. Plus, there's more. What? Oh, here we go. You ready? Here we go. What is small and red and has a rough voice? A horseradish. Somebody just goes through the dictionary saying things out loud, don't they? Until they find something that like sounds you separate the word out and you're like, oh, that would be funny. They gotta go through the dictionary to come up with these. Todd Robinson, aka undisputed 2012 doubles badminton intramural champion. I didn't know we had doubles badminton intramurals back in Auburn back in our day. Woody the Jag, the official 2024 Bowl Mania champion. Chad McDowell, Auburn football's Elvis, Wade Ward, Reynolds Wolf, Philip Martin, Jeff Hunter, David G, a great day, comrades, because
We sail into history.
Comrade. Timothy, Russell Milling, Randall Walker, David Simpson, Josh Teal, Tony Perry, Rob Morgan, Patrick Williams says the AU Wishbone.
Whether you like it or not, learn to love it because it's the best thing going today.
Woo! I just realized, by the way, I've had our video on the widescreen. Let me see what happens if we. I don't know. What do you think? Would you rather have it this way? No,
it's all good. This is
Let's
good.
Try it this way for a little while and see what we like better. All right. Shannon Butson. Oh, by the way, you notice I did get my little helmet situated here
That's it.
I like it. Yeah. Shannon Butson, Construction Tiger, Papa Todd, Cato, the SEC Pick'em champion, I guess for this year, Stephen Houston, Kevin Mahan, Blake Heron, Sarah Hines, Sasquatch, 7 times North America hide and seek champ, thinks he could play punter for the Tigers, tell comrade coach. Tim Pittman, the aforementioned Third Banana and upcoming bobsled competitor for the Olympics, Boris the Tiger. What? Da. Charles Mooney, I was in Warsaw and ran into a pole. Then I said, ow. Wow. David D, Auburn Blue, Dr. Crackham, Bill Weathers, Eternal Glory. Walt would like to wish Gus a happy retirement and would gladly take him back as a run game consultant. That's a good point. Antoine Morris, ABB, Wiggerbird, the 2005 Auburn University Intramural Horseshoes champion. Tyler Ward, Mark Squire. Cue the anthem, boys. You know who. Auburn, number 1. There we go. Thank you, Boris. It's kind of appropriate that our Tiger co-host is Boris from Siberia, and we have a coach born in Russia now. Boris just fits right in. Boris was with the program before there was a program.
I didn't know Stephen Pearl was from Russia.
Part of Tennessee does kind of look like Siberia. Alex Wynn, Kenneth Brent Raines, the barbecue.
You have failed me for the last time.
AKA Auburn for life. John Stubbs, Clay Henson, Justin Bean, James Taylor, Ruth and Darren Sutherland, and finally, Ben Amos, Spanky. I'm at the bottom of this list because, where did it go? Oh, because
George Wilson! Blasphemy!
Well, that's that right there.
Yeah, that's a pretty bold statement. You know what I mean? It's factual.
It is. Chris Como, where is that guy coaching right now? He one that went to USC?
Yeah.
Arkansas? Okay. So
he's coaching Chad at UNC at Southern Cal.
Yeah. Chris Como, Darren Pyle, Theodore Gary, David Smiley, Trevor Johnson, Royce Alvarez, college equestrian expert Auburn Elvis, AU Falling Up, John Otsuki, Paul Banks, and MVP captivating Kathy Bryant.
Your love of the halfling's leaf has clearly slowed your mind.
Ben Rodriguez, Bobby Polite, Elizabeth Donald, I'll Buy This for $1, Rich Hammett, Chris Braun, Alex Brown, Siberian Tiger, the Slinko family, Daniel Witten, Tim Sauls, Jim McCrory. I will lick the toes of you. I will not lick the toes of you. I do not like those toes of woe. I'm Tiger. I'm not a hoe. I have to just say it fast. It's the only way I can get through it, John. New York Tiger knows Van's favorite is you can't hear a pterodactyl in the bathroom because the P is silent.
Bringing back the classics.
That's an all-time classic. That is an
Please clap.
all-time classic. In fact, I'm going to give that one
I mean, they just say that we're some dogs, honestly.
It is. We're some pterodactyls, honestly. CT Tiger, Jim Myers, Trey Jackson, Howard Franz, Peter Wang, Willie Moe, Zach Doran, Stephen Thompson, and Chris, plus our one-time anonymous donors. I didn't say this before, go to www.auwishbone.com. Click on the big orange button, become a patron. There's also cool stuff on there you will enjoy besides that, but make sure you click on the big orange button, become a patron. John, it occurred to me just now when we were doing that, another fun thing we could do is see if our little entourage might want to join one or both of us on the 2027 plan. Get if Jared's able to go to any, if Kathy's able to go to any, if any of our other great I'm blanking out on the other people. I thought of like 5 people, and then there's Delvin, of course, Delvin. There was I thought of like 5 people, and I started blanking out. But yeah, absolutely. But Jared, Delvin, Kathy, that's our usual entourage. There's a few others. if you guys, that would be awesome. Come to one or two and get your opinion, get your perspective as well. All right. That gets us. We don't have a guest the game this week. So brought to you by title sponsor Samuel Salvatore. Coming up, we have, I kind of messed it up, Around the SEC and listener questions. But first, it's time for our weekly look at the biggest dunderheads, knuckleheads, and dare-do-wells who ever miscoached a coach, the worst coaches in the world. I really screwed that up. That's okay. Samuel has a nominee this week that I think we can all agree on. This is a coach that when he said he was going, that he had laid out something I could listen to, I said I wouldn't listen to him reading a menu in a nice restaurant. I wouldn't listen to him. I wouldn't have any interest. That would be Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney at Clemson. And here is how Samuel breaks it down for us. Doesn't understand there are no real rules in the transfer portal. So I guess he's kind of like wanting to enforce rules that nobody acknowledges and nobody's enforcing. Is the biggest crybaby ever. If you don't like it, quit or adjust. That's fair. And how many more years can the Clemson fan base put up with it? And that's a good question. I don't know. I feel like he's brought about his own problem because he spoiled them into expecting national championship level teams every year. And now he's gone several years.
Well, in last year, remember last season was supposed to be the season. They were a preseason top 3 team. And then
didn't work out. No. And this year they kind of faded too. So I added one, and that was Nate Oates, and I already gave the reasons for it. I forgot that I had that in here. So, yeah, the John Feinstein's book, Back Roads to March, pretty enjoyable listen, and there's some fun stuff slapping around Nate Oates, so I recommend it. These are this week's worst coaches in the world.
Thank you. Order. Questions to the Prime Minister.
It's time for listener questions. Dun, 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 on the AU Wishbone podcast.
All right, is there anything in our old mailbag this week?
We got a few listener questions. The first is from Trey Jackson, and the subject line is, "Rest in peace, dulcet tones."
Yeah, yes.
He says, "Hey guys, you probably already mentioned this, but the Auburn family lost a legendary member, the wonderful Philip Marshall. In the few interactions I had with him, he was incredibly kind and always had good insights to share. I named my pick'em teams after him, and my favorite part of the podcast he was on were his stories and the way he delivered them. I was wondering, since you've written books about Auburn history, do you have any great Philip Marshall stories to share? I think he deserves a loving tribute from the entire Auburn family. War Eagle, Trey Jackson."
Yeah, Trey, I agree with you. I don't really have a funny story. I mean, you mentioned that meme that is classic. He'll live forever on that. That's really funny. That was from 2012. No, I'll say the thing about him was that every single time I needed to know something for one of our books, the last 3 or 4 books, every time that I needed to know, I was finding 4 or 5 different accounts of how Tommy Tuberville quit or was fired. And I was just juggling them all going, well, I don't know what to say here because this person says this and this person says that. And then I read Philip Marshall's account, and Philip says, I was standing right next to him. This is what happened. And over, that's the kind of thing you got from him. He was
there.
He was in the room when the decisions were made, when the cabbage got chewed, as they say, and he could tell you exactly what happened. And I trusted him like Walter Cronkite. You know what I mean? Like I knew he was laying it out straight up. And so, yeah, there you go. So
All right. Our next email's from frequent emailer Bill Miner, and the subject line is Auburn's Groundhog Day. He says, "Hey guys, in honor of the movie, which Auburn day would you want to relive over and over like in the movie? Is there anything you do differently, like Bill Murray tried several times? On the flip side, which Auburn day would you not want to relive over and over, and it would be endless nightmare? Curious to hear your thoughts and if they differ."
I have two completely different thoughts on this, John.
Okay, go.
Two different approaches. One is the day where everything was so good that you want to just keep enjoying that day over and over. And that might be the kick six. It might be
first time
Oregon, the first time ever, or the national championship game in Arizona.
Yes.
I mean, those are certainly three that come to mind immediately. But there's also, because he mentioned the Bill Murray thing, and I was just watching that before I came down here. That's a classic movie. There's also, and I love the fact that this one random comedy movie has completely changed how people understand an entire holiday. I mean, it was never a big holiday to begin with, so it was ripe for changing, right? It's not like you change Valentine's Day to be about monsters or something, you know. It's not like you change Halloween to be about giving candy boxes to your loved ones. You know what I mean? It's Groundhog Day was, they find out the groundhog looks at his shadow. There's not a lot else there to go with. So this was like Groundhog Day was an empty box waiting for somebody to put something beside a groundhog in it. And Harold Ramis and Bill Murray did, and they changed the way we think about the holiday. And I'm please clap. But the other way you can think about it is Bill Murray was trying to change how things went, right? Once he figured out that he was reliving the same day over and over, he decided to use that to change things, to change how he was as a person and his relationship with what's her name, his producer. And so if that's the criteria, now I want to go to like 1983 Texas or 1988 LSU or 2013 Florida State and relive it until I can get a message to the coach or to the running back, take a knee on the goal line. You know what I mean? Which would you rather do? Do you want to relive a great day or try to change a day that one thing went bad?
This isn't that Stephen King book about the JFK thing. Okay. So that, like, I definitely don't ever want to live that Florida State game day again. Like you couldn't pay me money to live that day again. So that's the easy choice for me. And in terms of the do again, like I'd love to go, like, first time ever was such a great day. We've written this in the book. We've talked about it a lot. We had a great day with our friends that day. And I would love to go back and just experience that day from a different Auburn fans' perspective. I think that'd be awesome.
We need to write a book. This is your doings. This is your fault. We need to write a novel called 1-6-14.
No. Okay. No way are we writing 1-6-14. It's like we're gonna write that book and then the main character dies when they go to Maine early in the book. That's
my gosh. Yeah, and first you're trying to get into the Rose Bowl, and next thing you know,
you start out weeks earlier trying to get charges pressed on Jameis Winston for stealing crab legs or whatever. So you're testifying in court against him. I'm swearing a statement here. I saw him take the crab leg. So
there's a whole chapter just of us changing out our money for 2013, 2014 money. Remember? So you don't want to carry 2026 quarters and dollars back with you. That's important. Stephen King taught us that. You need to take old money with you. 1-6-14. Come on.
No. Next question is from Dan in North Carolina. And he said, this is about Gus retiring. He says, in the modern era Auburn head coaches, I would rank him behind Dye and Shug, but tied or even with Tuberville due to what I feel is a stronger SEC during Gus's time. Agree or disagree, and why?
Well, they each were part of a national championship team that went undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
But Gus had a second one that got there, just didn't win. I think, all right, I'll put it this way. Tuberville got to go up against Mike Shula. Gus had to go up against Nick Saban. I think if Gus had gotten to go up against Mike Shula, he'd have gone like 8-0.
And let's talk about who were the LSU coaches before Saban that Tuberville got to go against.
Well, not many, because Saban came into LSU in 2000, so he only got to go up against one. Okay. That was I was thinking about the Italian guy. What's his name? That was at Vanderbilt and then went to LSU. You know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. We faced him in '99 in the cigar game when we ran the fake field goal, and we beat him like 50-0 in Baton Rouge and all that. That was
Woodenhopper.
No, that's the Vanderbilt guy. I'm not talking about him. He's the other Vanderbilt guy. He didn't go to Woodenheimer. Didn't go to
Jerry DiNardo.
Jerry DiNardo. Yeah. So Tuberville faced DiNardo in '99 and beat the snot out of him and got him fired, because what do? We get LSU coaches fired.
Right.
Curly Hallman, Jerry DiNardo, right? And then in 2000, Saban came in and we beat him in 2000. He beat us in 2001. We kind of bounced back and forth until he went to the pros. So yeah, I think it's definitely true that Gus had a harder road to hoe than Tubbs did. I don't take anything away from Tuberville. I thought he did a great job too. So honestly,
this is the peak of the SEC. All right, last questions from Auburn Elvis, who says, "Dear John and Van, remember how Saban and Kirby would call each other and offer up, give advice how to stop Gus? Well, I think Stephen Pearl and Todd Golden should start doing that against Alabama and Georgia in basketball."
Oh, great. Yeah, those two are tight.
It's a joke, but they're probably already doing it.
Yeah, I think those two, they respect each other. They're good buddies. So, and I like that they both have marquee programs they're coaches of now. That's really, and they're young. They can be there a long time they want to. So, we did have one other question came in through our,
Yeah, that's it. Just except
came in through our Kickstarter from Michael Park. Last week, I mentioned looking at where our global reach was through, I don't know if it was YouTube or the podcast. I guess it was the audio through Podbean. And I noted that one of the places that we kept getting downloads was Singapore. And it was interesting to me, A, because there's Auburn people listening apparently in Singapore, and B, I lived in Singapore for a good chunk of a year back in 2005 and really enjoyed it. Really great place. If you don't like being cold and you don't mind being hot, Singapore is awesome. It's clean. It's nice. There's fun stuff to do. If you're a bit nerdy, there's fun stuff to do, right? If you're looking for super partying atmosphere, Singapore not the greatest party town. But for me, there's lots of cool places to like, bookstores and stuff. There's beaches, restaurants, bars, grills, noodle houses. I love Singapore. I thought it was fantastic. If you don't mind it being 90 degrees every day, 365 days a year. Michael said, I hope you're well. We listened to your last AU Wishbone pod. Yes. Not sure how many Singapore listens we account for, but we are certainly listening here in Singapore to your pod and telling our friends, War Eagle, we just bought Virginia Double Dribbled and Decades of Dominance. So fun. Thanks for all the good times and content, Michael. Michael Park, thank you so much. That just made my day to know that even on the far side of the world, there's, in a place that I really do love a lot, there's Auburn people, and they're listening to our show and reading our books and having a good time, and that just is awesome.
Wherever you are out there, we appreciate you, listeners. Thank you.
Absolutely. Do we have any around the SEC or around college football? Is anything going on?
LSU is the only school to be sanctioned, called out by the group that is administering the NIL deals for flagrant misuse and behavior. I don't think anything's going to come of it. Other than some finger wagging.
Imagine my surprise that Lane Kiffin's school is doing something shady.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
All right. Nice. Quoting my hometown boy.
That's it for around the SEC, pretty much.
All right. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. So let's get through the barren, terrible month of February, where there's just not a whole lot going on except basketball. We have, again, that's why I hate losing. I know the team needs a day off, especially before the Alabama game, and that's fine. But when it's all we have is basketball, I really hate them having to take a day off because it's awfully nice to go 3 or 4 days and then get another game. So let's get the basketball team back. Let's beat Bama on Saturday. It's always very, very important to beat Alabama.
Big.
And then we will relax, and it'll be almost time for, we can kind of close out with. I kind of like that he practices ice safety. He does have the sponsorship on the side. I don't think we can top that. John, our time is up. We thank you for yours. War Eagle, John.
War Eagle, man.